All right, everybody, we're back. The last one we did, it was a little bit of technical difficulty, but this is Rediscovering Black Conservatism, episode 9, a great episode with great guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So go ahead, you guys.
Hi, hi, how you guys doing? I'm Daniela Diamante. I am a local drag queen here in Albany, New York, and I am a conservative.
Sounds good.
Hello, my name is Kevin Hammer. I live in upstate New York, actually not that far from Albany. I always stress that because there's more to New York State than the city. I'm actually from the Amish and dairy country of New York State originally. There's a whole lot of redneck world out there. I'm a registered Republican. I do consider myself to have strong conservative leanings, but at the end of the day, I'm also moderate on a number of issues.
Okay, that sounds good. This is very important. The reason why I put together this discussion because I saw a video on Prager University. Now, all conservatives know about Prager University. It was featuring a guy his name is Guy Benson. He's a famous column writer. He's conservative, but he's also gay. And when I watched the video, I found it interesting because in the video, he goes, "I'm conservative." And then he kind of goes, yeah, I'm gay, but that's a very, very small part of my life. And then he upholds the conservatism, which is fine. But then it's kind of like, he's like, oh, I'm gay. That's not a big part of my life. So I thought the audio was very interesting because, it's something where he got a standing ovation for the video. But I'm just wondering, did he have to kind of minimize himself in a conservative audience to kind of get that reception? And as a conservative, do you guys feel like, is it something you have to do, or you don't, that hasn't been your experience? But any one of y'all could go first.
Well, to be honest, I know what video you're talking about. I've actually seen that video a few times. I have to say, to speak from personal experience, it wasn't so much that since embracing my conservative values and registering as a Republican, it's not so much that I felt the need to, I'd say, suppress my gay identity. By no means is that who I am or something I'm going to do. However, I have stepped back from my activist days in the LGBT community, where pretty much the sole focal point of my identity was the fact that that I'm gay. And so I stepped back from that. But in general, I have to say, though, that no, I don't think you have to minimize who you are as an LGBT person to thrive as a conservative and to be Republican. However, I think you do have to still avoid falling hard into identity politics. I mean, at the end of the day, all politics is identity politics to some extent. The issue, the right has their demographics that they speak to, so does the left. However, I think where you cross that line is when you become all about that one identity. And I have to say that I think Guy Benson wasn't too off the mark there. I didn't think he downplayed it too much, because he did in that video pay respects to the activists who paved the way for him to have all the freedoms that he enjoys today. He acknowledged that they probably wouldn't agree with him politically, but he did pay them respect. So I don't think you have to sacrifice one person. No.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Danielle, how you feel about that?
Real quick, because I'm hearing a lot of feedback, you might want to put on both your headphones and the mic just because it's like feeding through. I feel.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit of feedback too. Okay, that's better. That is a lot better.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. And I'm wondering if that was part of the reason with the sound too, before it was because maybe you had to have both headphones on. I don't know. Technology's not my thing. But so to answer the question, I don't think he really downplayed it. I was not like purposely to like make people feel comfortable or anything like that. I think, because like I view it very similar to how he does in the sense of, I'm gay, but that doesn't necessarily reflect everything that I believe and or practice in my life. I mean, personally, I am very heavily involved in the gay community since I like perform shows and I'm fairly often at the bar and all that. But at the same time too, I don't know, for me just mentally, I just compartmentalize and I don't see me being gay as the end all be all of everything that I base everything off of. And I don't like, and that's the whole thing I think he's trying to like upplay actually is the fact like that shouldn't be all that he is. And that's really where I think I think that was the point of his video. He's saying, I'm gay and I'm conservative, but just because I'm gay doesn't mean that's everything. Like,
right.
So like, and I feel like that's like the bigger focus for the most part is to do that.
But real quick, I'm gonna let y'all speak. So in a way, you guys feel like he was uplifting because he's more of trying to get people to focus on his values. You think more than like, okay, focus on just one aspect. Okay, because it's very, go ahead. I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that even in the video that he acknowledged, he said, here I am, a gay man, a gay Christian conservative. And he goes, I'm making a video for PragerU. And he goes, and there are people here that I disagree with issues on. He said that, made that very clear in the video. And like I said, he did pay respects to the movement, to those that came before him that made it possible for the freedoms that he enjoys today. However, he acknowledged something that I think more people in the community need to acknowledge, that this is the era that we live in right now. And we have those freedoms. I feel like too often, a lot of the LGBT people on the left act like we're still in 1969. And that is very frustrating. And at the end of the day, I also think it's very disrespectful to those that came before us. But on another note, Guy Benson makes a distinction that I've been making more myself. He refers to himself as a man who happens to be gay instead of a gay man. And I think that may just seem like, a switch of words, but it's an important distinction at the end of the day. And to be honest, I come more and more to agree with that. I don't downplay the fact that I'm a gay man. I don't feel any requirement to in conservative circles. However, I'm a man who happens to be gay more than I am a gay man.
So. Right. No, I completely agree with that. Like, I just happen to be gay and I happen to have conservative values. Like, these are just things that make me like who I am. It's just like I mean, perfect examples like kind of what happened to me and Kevin today on Facebook and all that is like it came up in a Facebook thread that I was conservative and all that, and they could not get past the title of conservative. It wasn't like anything like so. Basically, the post was talking about like. Somewhere down in Florida, I guess, they okayed a mural for to support Blue Lives, and the mural said back up blue or something like that. And so and like they like the design wasn't there. Like I mean, it was very clear to me that they were trying to do something different than what Black Lives Matter did with their murals on the streets and all that, which was they were trying to make a very like intricate design and all that. And like one comment came up where it's like, to be conservative is to be uncreative. And I, being a drag queen and a visual artist, like I went to art school and everything, I'm like, I'm conservative and I'm creative. So I'm going to say your argument has no validity. And through that, it was just like the fact conservatives aren't this, conservatives aren't that. You really don't know anything about conservatives. Apparently, you're not enlightened enough to know what conservatives believe. Like, I grew up in a conservative household. I know what conservatives believe, and I know like some believe more strictly than not, about homosexuality. I'm not stupid with a history or anything like that. But like, I still hold a lot of conservative values, and so that still makes me pretty conservative. Especially if we're talking about like the current status quo when it comes to what's like conservative versus what's considered liberal. Is anything to the right of Bernie Sanders pretty much is conservative. So by most state standards, I am very conservative. So and like that's the whole thing though. And like so like and then people kept on saying like because I was gay that I like. It makes no sense that I'm a conservative because then I'm going against all my values and I'm saying I don't want any rights or anything like that. I'm like, I don't see how that's possible, in my opinion. Like,
but keep in mind, yeah, when you make it clear that them calling you a traitor as a gay man isn't going to work, they then play other things against you. Well, yeah, you're a gay man, but your other privileges outweigh that because you're also a cis white man. And so that's where they go. Once they realize they can't beat you into submission as a gay man, they go to the next level they can. I actually have a good friend who he's a gay conservative and he's also black. Now, for him, sometimes they'll bring up his male privilege because they don't feel they can really go, they'll call him a traitor, but when that doesn't work, when they call him a traitor to the black community and to the gay community and that doesn't work, they go after the fact that he's a man, therefore he has male privilege. And it's honestly, it's predictable. It's quite predictable. My only real input to that thread, and I told Daniela I just wasn't up for it earlier today, was when they said that conservatives weren't creative. I said, well, Daniela, I gotta say, you've made handling your haters an art form. And that was pretty much my main contribution to that. But yeah.
Right. I mean, it's very interesting because we live in an environment. It's almost like the left has a monopoly on the gay vote. So that's why they feel empowered. Like, I can't believe you're conservative and gay. It's almost like if you are gay, you have to vote one way. You know what I mean?
Well, it's exactly like when Joe Biden said, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black. Like, right there, it's like that mindset of, yes, traditionally these groups like primarily voted for Democrats, and so that became like the whole thing about the left is they focus on how you identify. They very much focus on that and focus on which groups you identify with. And if you're like in any shape, way, or form fall into this category that should be left, you're automatically assumed to do it. And if you don't, then they're going to find ways of why you don't belong and then make you feel ostracized and then make you feel completely alone. So like then you are pressured to either try and suck up and like find a way to not be part of that group anymore, or you're going to shut up and you're going to comply. And that's it's that very much all or nothing. Like this has like been my issue, especially due to the whole COVID situation of like everyone's getting so political and so like polarized. And it's pretty much if I don't agree with you, then I don't agree with anything that you say. And like I'm being told that, I don't actually care about Black people or people of color. And I'm being told that I don't care about gay community, I don't care about trans people, that I pretty much, I'm an asshole and like all I want to do is oppress everyone to keep the status quo so I can have my passing privilege as being a white male. And it's just like, it goes beyond me sometimes because like, it's just like, that's not true. That's like, I mean, I'm very fortunate that I do have friends who are very left leaning and we have these conversations all the time. We have like these nuanced conversations and like, get into whole debates and all that. And like one of the friends, like earlier in that post, when it was just about talk about, creativity and being conservative, my one left-leaning friend literally jumped right in and was like, how dare you try and say he's not creative? He like trust me and him are the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to our beliefs and all that. But he's a drag queen and he's an artist, and I've experienced what he does firsthand. And like, I respect the crap out of her. And like, that was like one thing, like, and like that really hit home for me and like made me feel really like I've chosen like some good people in my life. Cause like when I see stuff like that, cause like I also have another, like my best friend that has done similar things to me with some of these Facebook posts. And we'll like try and like be like, yo guys, they're not saying they don't agree with this, that, or the other thing. They're just saying that their beliefs aren't 100% lining up with you and they have these ideas on them. And so like, I feel like that's very important to have.
Right. That's very important. Now, let me see. We at the halfway mark, which is pretty good. So I guess the question I want to know, which is to move the Republican conservative movement forward, what do you think has to be done to kind of release that grip that the left has and kind of recruit more people and make them feel like, hey, I am gay, but I do have a home here in the Republican Party. In your experience, in your opinion, what do you think has to be done, or what do you feel you have to do, or your group has to do to make that happen?
Daniela, do you want to take that first?
You got it. You go first.
Okay, I'll take the first.
Good.
All right.
I
So
just talk forever.
yeah. Well, for me personally, it's not like I don't think the Republican Party needs to start, funding pride parades in June or anything like that. No. What I do think needs to happen is not so much a diving into identity politics. It's more so a matter of really highlighting why conservative values should speak to the LGBT community. And in what way, in the best way about that is really focusing more on those issues specifically. And there are ways to get in there. For example, I actually have sat on pride planning committees, organizing the festivals and organizing the parades. And I remember just a couple years ago in my area when I sat on a committee, there was a great deal of argument, and I'm saying argument, not just debate, but arguments over how family friendly the pride should be. And that's the interesting thing. As we are more accepted in society and as we feel more comfortable, we are, I feel, as a community in many ways, embracing family more and more and family values. So for me, for example, with pride, a lot of people say to me, and this is where I get in a debate, and I've had this discussion with both conservatives and liberals, but many times with conservatives, especially conservative friends who are LGBT and criticize pride, because I have gone to pride, and they say, well, I don't need to celebrate that I have sex. A gay man will say, I don't need to celebrate that I have sex with men. And I go, well, that's not why I go to pride. When I go to pride, I'm not celebrating my attraction to men. What I am doing is paying respects to the history in the community and those who fought and even died so I could enjoy the freedoms that I do right now as an American. Right. So I guess it's a different reason why I go, but also I think that's an in right there, is that there is a strong family value. No, I don't think that someone should be walking around in assless chaps in a pride parade, especially because our local one goes right through residential areas. Right. I'm sorry, it's thing. New York City, you could argue that New York City is a bit different in some ways because obviously it's a city, that environment, but our parade actually goes right by houses. I'm like, that's very different. I think there are ins there at the end of the day. I don't think pride should be so sexualized. I do think it should be more family friendly. And I think that is an in where conservatives can appeal to, is where family values are on the rise among the LGBT community. And I'll cover one more issue that's personal to me, and then I'll give it to Daniela. And that's the Second Amendment. After the Pulse nightclub massacre happened, I remember just obviously that feeling, like that grief, just a wave going through the community. And here's the thing. I remember a number of my friends who had never owned guns before were looking to purchase guns for the first time. And this was another thing that always confused me, is why does me being gay mean that I have to be anti-gun? First of all, where I grew up, the Second Amendment wasn't really a liberal or conservative thing, a Democrat or Republican thing. Everyone respected the Second Amendment, no matter what party you came from. It's just if you didn't believe in guns, you simply didn't own them. Then when I moved to more of a city environment, that's when I realized just how much of a political issue that was and how divisive it was. So I was always pro-Second Amendment, but I will admit I felt that I had to suppress that during my time as an activist in the LGBT left. And here's the thing, the last thing I'll say in regards to that has always amused me about the left, especially currently. You have a left that tells these communities, the LGBT community, communities of color, women, that they are victims, that they are targets of violence, right? This is a message that the left really drives home to these communities. However, at the same time, telling them that they're victims, they also then want to pass laws restricting their ability to defend themselves. And then at the same time, they also tell these communities not to trust the police at all. So you're telling these communities to not trust the police. You're then telling these communities that they don't have a right to protect themselves. You're passing laws restricting that right to protect themselves. The left is just intentionally making victims here, people that they can control with fear. And it's definitely becoming a larger and larger part of the Democratic platform in my view. So I think there's a lot of room for conservatives, for the Republican Party to start appealing to LGBT voters, to conservatives.
Right. Correct. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I will say I don't believe the gay community is getting more family friendly. If anything, it's being less family friendly because I'm out there in these bars, I'm watching these men. A lot of these, especially the bars I go to right now, you're getting a lot more older men who are dating these younger men, and they're all getting into these, like, as a society, we are encouraged, like, sexual exploration is encouraged, which I don't necessarily disagree with you in that at all. Like, I mean, I think that's something to do, but I do think that should be something that should be made more private and not more public, especially in, like, pride community. But, like, honestly, right now, we, like, especially, like, the further we get, we're being told that being together in a monogamous relationship is a drag, and, like, it doesn't make any sense. It's almost unnatural. Like, most times, most
it's heteronormative.
Like, it's, well, heteronormative, but that's the whole thing. It's just the idea of a norm. No one wants an idea of a norm anymore. They want to break norms. They want to break these types of, like, structure and all that, and types of, like, organization and all that, because that doesn't fit the narrative that they want. They want anarchy. They want things to be messy. They want us to be scared. I do agree that they are using fear to really drive home, like, between, you know, coronavirus, between Black Lives Matter right now. It's all about, you can't trust the police, but you can't trust guns. You can't defend yourself. You can't trust the Republicans. They are against you. They want you to suffer and be oppressed. Look at the past. The past has been nothing but oppressive. By the way, if we're going to teach our kids that America sucks, America was horrible, it doesn't deserve to be respected whatsoever, we're going to teach you that, you know, everything that you learned was wrong. By the way, you're white, so you're automatically racist. That's automatically inside. Like, I read this book, White Fragility, recently. Worst book I ever read. This is written by a white woman telling other white people that no matter what you say and or do, you're racist. I think like, part of it, I think the left themselves are already dismantling themselves because they're getting to this point where literally everything's negative, nothing's okay, it's horrible. And, like, I'm having conversations with some of these people, and they're like, I'm sick of being depressed. I'm sick of being anxious on all this stuff. I just want to, like, feel secure. And so, like, I think the best thing that we could do is just kind of just be there for everyone, and, like, actually just show some support and show that we're not as an unwelcoming party as the left and the media like to make us out to be most of the time. We really, I'm not saying, like, again, I agree with Kevin on, like, you don't have to put on these specific, like, rallies or events or anything like that to cater, but, like, go to some of them. Like, be that friend that you can support, like, help support people. Show through example. Like, don't try and, like, force them to hear. Like, if you know you can have a nuanced conversation with a person, then yeah, feel free to share those articles, to share the things that you've read and heard about and all that, and then they can share some of the things that they read, and then you guys can have a fruitful discussion, and that'll build. And, like, I think that really does help. But for those who are going to be a little bit more thick-headed and all that, maybe not start with, like, the idea of politics right away. Maybe actually start with a one-on-one conversation, just to kind of, like, be like, I'm, like, experiencing this, you're experiencing that, I'm here for you, and just, like, again, like, I really feel like the best way to do it is, like, being just be a party of being, like, rules and, like, regulations. We should be one more of just showing some, like, openness and accepting. So, like, do what they say they do, but actually do it instead of saying that we do it. So, and, like, you just, like, show through our values how it actually applies. Because that's the best way they're going to understand it. Like, most people, like, when they talk to me and all that, they're like, I know you're not racist. You're, like you're a good person. Like, I get people go, oh, you're really intelligent. Like, you actually, like, speak, and, like, I know you have good intentions and all that. So it's just, like, when you get to know a person, then it's harder for them to, like, see you as the enemy. So that's the whole thing. Like right now, everything that's going on, that's what happened on Facebook, is because since also COVID has divided us from being like with each other in a room and all that, that's why we have to communicate through our social media right now, which is very dehumanizing. And we dehumanize ourselves more wearing these masks every day right now. So it's like we're disassociating. And so like right now you need to reinsert the human element of people, because that's really how you're going to get someone. They need to feel that like person to person connection. And then right now that's what the left is trying to capitalize on, is that we don't have that. So if you can do that, I think we can definitely start getting people to kind of at least see that we're not monsters. You don't have to vote for us. You don't have to agree with us, but stop telling me I am a horrible human being or I am completely wrong and crazy for having my beliefs. Like that's like, to like kind of finish up, like the biggest issue I had with that whole Facebook debacle this afternoon was, I don't care if you disagree with me. I'm fine with that. But I want you, when we disagree, please take me seriously and like respect what I'm saying as much as I'm trying to respect what you're saying, is like all I'm looking for. I had people like putting all these laugh emojis at all these comments that were coming back to me about like how I'm stupid or how like I make no sense, and then they were trying to like virtue signal and like talk down to me. And then I'm just having people laugh and then they'll laugh at my comments whether or not like they actually read it. And it's just like, that's where like it really hurt, and the more so is the fact like when you're not taken seriously, like they act like we never take them seriously. And like I will say, like if you watch Tucker Carlson or Fox News, they tend to do shit like that, and that's why I will say they are not always the best representation of right-wing media. So it's just like, show that human aspect, like show that connectivity and like the nuance and the understanding. And I think that's where it's gonna go. Like watch Steven Crowder and watch like Lauren Chen is pretty good, and like People at the Blaze can be very good at times. And Blair White is one of my favorite LGBTQ YouTubers.
I like Rob Smith. I like Rob Smith personally a great deal.
Yeah. Rob Smith is a good guy, but I think, and that's the reason why I think I had to put together this conversation, because the party is very diverse, and it needs to be shown that this is a diverse party, you know, with different people, with different ideas. And I think that's where we as Republicans, sometimes we fall short, is that we play into the left's narrative. So it becomes that thing where it's the perception of, you know, the Republican Party is one way. We are diverse, and we need to put that on the forefront. Like, we have people that are diverse, and we have to get in that space where, like you said, we live up to our ideals. If we believe in the Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it needs to be put on the forefront that these go for everybody. And once we can successfully do that, then people will understand that whatever they see in the media is not really reality. You have to step into politics to really see, like, okay, we are a diverse group of people, you know. So I think for everybody, it's very important that everybody see you, and it's very important that everybody hear you and know that you are active. You guys are activists in the party, and they are going to make room for you, and they have to make room for you. So I feel like it's a very important conversation. Very important.
But I also think it's a two-way street a little bit. I do think when LGBT conservatives come under fire from the LGBT leftist community, I think it would bode well for the Republican Party and conservatives in general to come out and say they're expressing values that we agree with more vocally. So I think the Republican Party should do that. But at the same time, I think when a Republican or a conservative gets accused of being, you know, homophobic, transphobic, whatever it may be, and you as a LGBT conservative know they're not, you need to call that out more too. You need to stop, you know, bowing to the fear mob. But anyways.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes the mob is a powerful thing. You know, yeah, I mean, I think that you know, it's a very important conversation that you can't get to in one day, and it has to continually keep happening. A lot of people are gonna watch this. For everybody that is watching this, you could tell people, like, what are your plans, your future plans of like where do you see yourself in the party, and just give an overall view of like what are you gonna do as far as like the politics is concerned.
Okay. Do you want to take it first, Daniela? Or?
You go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right. So me personally, I'm actually planning to get more involved as far as working with campaigns. I always joke, and I joke about, I'm definitely not someone who would ever want to run for an office, but I do enjoy being involved in campaigns. I'm actually currently involved in a campaign. I'm supporting a conservative candidate in the 20th Congressional District of New York State. Her name is Liz Joy, and I have to give her a shout out there. She's amazing. I will admit I had some hesitations. I still had some of my old, just like my own little prejudice laying, residing within me when it came to conservatives. I'm not gonna lie. Despite my growth, I still had a bit of that. But I sucked it up. A friend recommended that I actually meet Liz Joy before I decide anything when he mentioned her. And I went out there, I met her at a meet and greet, and I've taken it from there. And now I'm a major supporter of her. And I look forward to her beating Paul Tonko in the 20th Congressional District of New York State. And I know it's an uphill battle. We are in a very blue district, but from now into November, that's my goal. That's what I'm focused on. And after that, I really want to get this going with the with a group that I'm helping to form. It's going to be called the Stonewall Republicans. The Log Cabin Republicans, they've done some good. However, I feel they're fading a bit. I don't feel like they're strong enough. They don't take strong enough stances sometimes. And so I feel like it's time for younger voices, for a new voice to be heard. So I'm working with a friend to get that started. So I actually see myself having a future in the Republican Party and in politics in general. So that's my plans for the future.
Very good, very good.
For me, I'm not 100% sure yet where I want to go in politics itself. It's like, I do sometimes just go, I might as well just like plan to be like a politician and just do that just because like I have these conversations so frequently now. But like personally, I mean, I'm not 100% sure I want to get myself involved in politics like directly. I'm happy to be like an activist, and like if someone like says like there's a movement going on, I'm happy to show up for like some of the rallies, and I'm happy to be an outspoken individual for sure. And I would definitely consider getting involved with local government, because like local government is where it's got to start now. Like, because the whole thing is everyone's so focused on the federal and all that, when right now our federal is working so hard to let the states continue to have the power that they were supposed to have with the way that it was constitutionally written and all that. And like that's one thing I really respect about Trump is like whether or not it's caused more of a shit show, which it has, because now these states can agree crap on anything. But like it's the fact that he is determined to make sure that all the power goes to the state, so the state gets to decide the way it's supposed to be done. So I like if I can start making a difference there, and then like I definitely want to educate myself more though too. I think it's like another thing is like I want to explore the other side a little bit more, because like I've always been exposed to the left-leaning side to an extent and all that, but like I haven't really ever done my research on the left-leaning side. So like that's why I read the book that I just recently read. That's why I'll probably try and read a couple more at least, and like try and get into that a little bit. But I'll probably link up with Kevin. I know he likes to bring me in on these things all the time, so I'm sure I'll find myself somewhere.
Remember when I first met you, Daniela, I was actually still a registered Democrat. I could sense that you had a bit of hesitation expressing your more conservative leanings to me at one point. And, So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Daniela, you say about understanding the left more. Well, for me, interesting enough, I have a strong understanding of the left. So I'm kind of more about reaching out to the right there, reaching out more in conservative circles and really finding my place there and my connections there.
I feel like what we need to do is like, so we can understand, so we can fight the left, we got to understand the left and really understand and like look at it a very objectional view. Because that's the thing, most people who start off on the left, they're not starting off objectional. Like it's very much a personal thing for them. And then they have that aha moment where they're like, okay, I need to go more towards the right. But like what we don't have enough of is like people like just unemotionally, unbiasedly looking at the other side and being like, what is it that you believe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're batshit. I got you now. So, no, but so I think that's definitely something we got to do. And I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
I swear this one's gonna get me. Like next thing you know, it's gonna be like, the candidate Daniela Diamante. What? Represented by
Well, hopefully,
I'm like,
that happens because I definitely do think we need more voices. I think we coming to the end, but like I said, I definitely, wish you guys much success, and I hope to, see you guys out there on the campaign trail because we definitely need new voices, like you said, fresh voices like yourself, to bring that diversity where people see that, it's not just one Republican Party; it's a full 10 of people. So for all my viewers, you can check out Stonewall Conservatives on Facebook. You can follow and just watch what they're doing. And I just wish everybody much success and definitely thank you for being on the show.
you can find us on
It was a
Facebook,
pleasure
guys.
being here.
Just like
Definitely.
reach out to us, message us, we'll talk.
Thank you. All right.
Have a good night.